Welcome to r/Reddit Revenge. This is a story of someone getting back at someone with revenge after being wronged. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story, dude complained about the noise, so he kicked him out of the campsite. The second story, manager did not protect me from the client who yelled at me, so I created problems for the manager. The third story, I made an annoying hotel guest have to drag car seats around because she was rude and lied to my face. On to the first story. Keep reporting us cause you set your tent up too close, and you're gonna have a bad night. Every summer from May until the end of September, my family, hubby, kid, me, and 2 other families, one with 2 kids and one with no kids, go camping about every other weekend or so. We always have a great time together. We camp close to the river so the kids can swim and the guys can fish. There are small rapids close by that we walk down to and float back to camp during the day. At night, we build a bonfire and the adults sit around talking and having a few drinks, while the kids pile up in a tent to hang out or go exploring close by with flashlights to see what is out at night. We always put our tents close together, but as far away from the edges of the site as possible, so we can have some privacy and don't disturb other campers. The campground rules state that quiet time runs from 10 a.m. to 6 a.m. We have been going on these trips for several years and never had any problems or issues with other campers or campground staff. Over this past summer, we were camping and someone pulled into the campsite next to ours pretty late, maybe 7 or 8 p.m., but set their tent up on part of our site and immediately went into their tent. They had a kayak on their vehicle, and we assumed they were gonna have an early morning, so we didn't say anything about it to them since it was late, dark, and we didn't think it was a big deal. Fast forward to 10:05, and someone from the front desk comes to our site and tells us they had a noise complaint about our site. The guy said the staff making rounds didn't hear us or feel we were being loud, but since they had someone call up there, they had to come talk to us. We apologized for any issues we may have caused and agreed to be quieter in case we were disturbing anyone. Maybe half an hour later, the guy comes back and says they had another call and asks us if we've heard of any other people because he couldn't hear us until he got past our tents and thought maybe the complainer was accusing the wrong site. We kinda look around because we haven't heard anyone else. There's a few other sites with people sitting around fires, but we hadn't heard anyone. However, as we're glancing around, I noticed that our site neighbor is peeking out their tent at us, talking to the groundskeeper. When he saw me looking, he quickly ducked back into his tent. His tent on our site, and basically dry humping our tents, which is probably why he could hear us so easily. After the groundskeeper left, I decided to look up the campground rules. Nothing about lights out, just quiet time. So I took one of our Bright A shop lights and moved it as close as possible to their tent, turned it on and left it shining like a spotlight on their tent all night long. The next morning when we all got up, they were gone. We were there for 5 more days with absolutely no issues. I can imagine people on your site complaining about the lights and the staff doing nothing about it. What you've done is brilliant. It's awesome. I love camping with both my family and friends, and I've had something like this happen at one time. We camped too. 4 19 to 20-year-olds pitched a tent right in front of us and kept us up all night. They were making noise, and even after we asked them to be quiet, they just laughed at us and told us to go away. So we left out our liverwurst in the cab of our truck in the sun the next day when we went camping. Stuck it under their tent while they were gone close to the evening. Oh, I remember that smell. It was horrible. Anyway, there were a lot of pretty docile raccoons and skunks in the place. When we woke up in the morning, they were gone. The second story is, guess I was too stupid to know any better. A bit of background. I've worked in the service industry since I was 16, and it's a place where you will see the absolute worst of humanity. Seriously, people can really suck. I have loads of stories of entitled a-holes, but not that many revenge stories. This is one of the times I got my revenge, and some manager couldn't just override anything I did. On to the story. When I was 18, I worked in the restaurant section of a big multi-story department store. For the Brits here, it was a Debenhams, a kind of middle-class clothing and homeware department store. During the weekday afternoon, it was quiet, so there was usually one server and one supervisor. In the quiet times, I would do some deep cleaning, and today was the day that the fryers were to be emptied and cleaned. My supervisor was in the office doing rota, so I was out front. I would serve drinks and cakes and make food when it was required. Enter the D-bag. Probably early 30s with a toddler on the hip, about 2 years old. He picks up a sandwich and I ring it up, asking whether he would like drinks, etc., and he asks me why the deal wasn't on. Our afternoon deal at the moment is to add a packet of crisps and a drink for an extra £2 to any sandwich. Did you want the deal added on, sir? No, the deal to add a portion of chips to any sandwich for £1. Now, I had been there for about 8 months, and I had never heard of this deal, so I kindly informed the man that we didn't have this deal on, and he went from 0 to 10 in the blink of an eye. He started shouting at me, telling me how stupid I was for not knowing about this deal, how he would get it every time he came in, etc., etc. In between the ranting, I asked when he last got this deal. He told me last year. I didn't really know what to say at this point, so I went to get my supervisor. My supervisor was a nice guy, but he was a pushover and hated confrontation. So while he spoke to the customer and was berated for hiring a stupid young girl, me, I could see my supervisor was going to crumble. While my supervisor worked on the till to try and find a way to add some chips for £1, the customer started to talk to his toddler. What a stupid girl for not knowing about daddy's deal. Don't worry, son. I'll never let you work in an SH place like this. I'll make sure you get a good education, so you're not stuck in a dead-end job with the IQ of a walnut. I'm at the other end of the counter listening to this, getting incredibly peeved off. Never mind the fact I was in my first year of uni, and I had to work to live at the same time. So as soon as I hear my supervisor telling the man he'd found this deal, I went out back. I had everything ready to deep clean the fryers, so I opened the valves and emptied out all the oil. By the time my supervisor came to the kitchen to tell me to put the chips on, I was already squirting the cleaning agent into the empty fryers. The look of horror on my supervisor's face made me feel a little guilty, because now he would have to deal with the guy. But then again, he didn't stick up for me and gave this guy a deal, which we weren't even supposed to do, all because the customer was a man-child. The guy howled like a banshee when he was told that he couldn't have the chips. I was in the kitchen listening, happily scrubbing the fryers. The guy threatened to have all of our jobs, and he did write a letter of complaint to the store manager. But we didn't get told off because this deal wasn't active in our system. Guess I was just too stupid to know that chips needed fryers. D, my lack of education, huh? People like that annoy the hell out of me. I think everyone should work in the service industry for a while. I know my time working as a waitress made me treat people a lot better than they treated me. I'm really glad you effed that supervisor. He deserved it by not covering for you. Your manager deserves a slap on the wrist for not sticking up for you. I'm so pleased with the way you handled it. A few years ago, I had a customer yelling at a small child, our employee, who was serving her at the supermarket, yelling F and C at the child at full volume because his card kept getting rejected. I knew immediately something was wrong. I ran up to her and told her to stop yelling and get the hell out of our store. When she started yelling at me, I looked her straight in the eye, raised my voice slightly, and told her that I would not tolerate her talking down to my staff and cleaning up and not coming back. She came back 10 minutes later and apologized. I hate people who talk to workers like crap. We are people too. The last story is, be rude to me and my coworkers and I'll absolutely inconvenience you. I used to work for an extended stay hotel. In literally every department, we were a small hotel with a bit over 100 rooms. Boss offered overtime and I wanted overtime. We'd get a lot of people staying for work. Most would leave their families at home. If they brought their families, it meant their job was willing to pay lots of money for whatever service they provide their employers, so we would suck up to the guest. Keep them happy, keep them at the hotel. I was indifferent or liked almost all the guests. Even the difficult ones, but this one lady still makes me grumpy years later. She was the nanny of a husband and wife doctor team, I think, and she was awful. She'd walk the kids down the hall complaining, yell at the kids for being near her, just terrible. One morning I was covering the desk, so my coworker could get breakfast, and Nanny comes down asking about a swimsuit that may have been left at the pool. I told her no one had turned it into the front desk, but I'd check with housekeeping, and if I found, I'd get it to her, relevant later. She walked off mumbling just as Sarah came back from breakfast, and told me this lady is rude and complains daily over nothing. I head over to housekeeping and start checking on the housekeepers, since I was working as the supervisor for them for the day. I get near Nanny's room and hear her yelling at the housekeeper. The kind of yelling that happens when someone is trying to make someone who doesn't know English magically learn English. I step in, solve Nanny problem, she leaves being. Housekeeper makes an inappropriate joke at the most perfect time and day goes on to clean Nanny room. I go in to help with the stayover because I wanted the housekeeper done and out before Nanny got back. When I went to replace the towels in the bathroom, I saw the missing swimsuit hanging to dry by the tub, so that mystery was solved, and I didn't have to talk to Nanny again. Towards the end of my shift, the assistant manager asks if I'd help the front desk during the check-in and dinner rush. I tell her yes, then let her know Nanny is annoying and may be a problem. I can't remember all the details, but everyone had complained about the nanny, even the people who don't care about anyone or anything. The hotel's problem was she hadn't crossed the line to be spoken to or warned. On paper, she was just a pain in the A. The final straw for me was when she came to the desk to tell me the morning girl admitted to stealing one of the children's swimsuits, and that we had to pay her cash to replace it and find a new one. Now, this woman had seen me multiple times that day, but everyone who worked the front desk looked similar enough that we would constantly get mistaken for each other and would use this to our advantage. Like when this woman told me I said I stole a swimsuit when I in fact said I would help find it, then saw it in her room. I was irritated to say the least. I told her I would discuss it with the manager, and then she asked me for a shuttle to the downtown restaurant for her and her kids. Now, I'm admittedly that annoying coworker who struggles to bend the rules for anyone or anything. I also like knowing things and had been around the second longest at that point, at least for the front desk staff. And a few months back, one of the shuttle drivers wondered out loud to herself why it was okay for small children to be in the shuttle without a car seat. I emailed my immediate superior and got sent a forwarded email chain that had gone up regional, and basically it isn't okay. Since I'd been in other departments and the rule was if the kids look young enough to need a car seat, we mention it but don't verify age, and leave it to the parent and shuttle driver to make final decision. No one had made this woman put the kids into a car seat. Well, I informed this lady that I'd be happy to call for a shuttle as soon as she had the car seats in the lobby. But no one has made me do it before. They let me on the shuttle without them all the time. The call of the I'm getting my way people. I responded with, I'm so sorry, I wasn't aware. When I talk to my manager about the swimsuit, I'll ask that she sends out a reminder to the rest of the staff that car seats are mandatory. She left in a huff, and I called the shuttle driver who I told the situation to. I then got a call from Dr. Dad confirming. What I told the nanny was accurate, and he said he understood it was for the children's safety. Nanny came down and asked the shuttle driver if I was serious, and then she left. I made sure everyone knew these kids had to have their car seats, and the nanny was so frustrated and beat to my boss, who completely had my back. I don't know if Nanny actually cooled it a bit, or if I found so much joy from watching her drag the car seats to and from the shuttle that I didn't notice her being as much. Either way, I felt better the rest of her stay. I would rant about car seats to transport children to the restaurant and organize orders from above while she was in the restaurant. Effective immediately, the shuttle does not transport children without car seats. Let her figure out how to get back to the hotel. Haha, she would have been shocked by this turn of events. I want to ask a question. Couldn't you have done something else, like let the parents know that she's yelling at the kids for being around her? I think she would have lost her job after that. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a nice day.